In the past few years, there's been this one skill that has created massive growth in my life, and that is journaling. And in this video, I'm going to go through how to journal, and I'm also going to share some examples of my life where I have obtained massive growth through journaling. And at the end of the video, I'll also share some tips to anyone who wants to begin journaling on how to maybe approach that. When you think about journaling, what comes to mind? Well, when I first began journaling, what came to my mind was a high school kid talking about their first crush. And guess what? That is journaling too. But in this video, I'll be talking about something called reflective journaling, where we kind of learn from our journal entries to become a better person and grow. So, how do we do that? Well, it's actually three different steps that I've kind of boiled it down to. So, the first one is to observe, where you then observe your surroundings, yourself, your interactions, your emotions, and so on, and write those down. The second step is to reflect. So, after you've written down things in your journal, you then need to reflect on those journal entries to then understand them a bit better and to take some nuggets from those entries that you've created. And the third step is to influence. So, what do you do with the information that you've now reflected on? Well, you influence your future self to make better decisions and to maybe change as a person through the information that you've now learned. And this process is continuous and you keep on iterating on it. So, you keep on observing things in your life, you reflect on those things, and then you influence the way that you act moving forwards. And this cycle just keeps on going. And that is reflective journaling. And I know it seems like a really hard concept to grasp as to how it would apply to your life, but I now have some examples that'll kind of give you a bit more of a framework as to how you would approach the observe, reflect, and influence stage. The first one is that it fixed my back pain. Well, how did I fix my back pain through journaling? I did the first thing, I observed. I observed my back pain. I observed what was causing it. I observed when it was happening. I observed the exercises that were helping it. And I also observed the understanding and my knowledge of the issue that I had, which was back pain. So I had a anterior pelvic tilt that was causing a compression in my back. And this was a big part of something that, yet again, caused back pain for many, many years. And I'm not going to go too deep into the nitty-gritty parts of it, but you need to just observe things around the issue that you are trying to solve or trying to learn more about. And in this specific case, it was back pain. Now, in the reflection phase, I was reflecting on the different activities that I was doing. Maybe I need to change my posture, change the way that I walk, do more activities that focus on my core strength to then uncompress my back, or maybe even try to unlearn some of the bad habits that I've been having that have been causing this back pain. These are the things that I'm kind of reflecting on as I am rereading my journal entries about all the back pain that I've had and when they have occurred and so on. And the last step where I'm influencing future Paul is when I am applying the things that I've learned, where I am changing my posture and making sure that I'm standing properly, where I'm making sure that I'm not walking as fast. I'm influencing my future self to take all of these precautions to make sure that the things that I've observed that cause back pain, I'm minimizing those things. And I'm also focusing on getting more core strength so that I'm always keeping that core tight and my glutes tight to then alleviate my back from compression. And doing this process of observing my pains, reflecting on how I can remove or eliminate those pains, and then influencing future self to then do more actions that will solve the issue. That is how I solved my back pain in like a year and a half. The second area that I really want to highlight that revolutionized me as a person and made me grow massively was my addictions. So I used to be, I would say, kind of a alcoholic. I used to drink every other day after work because I felt like I deserved it. Whenever I went drinking out with buddies, it would always be like 3, 4, 5 drinks, and it would just be this habit that I would get into because I kind of enjoyed that daze in the moment, and it was something that through the observation phase, I realized that I don't really enjoy it. I don't really have a good time drinking. I feel shitty afterwards. It costs a lot of money. It makes me feel like I'm all dazed and kind of time travel a bit because I'm not being productive at all. And that used to be a pro in the past, but now it's more of a con because I feel like my time is way more valuable and I want to do way more things and do all the fun things in life that really takes time and attention. So I can't really just be drunk all the time because then I won't be able to do the things that I want to do. And in the influence phase, I'm kind of just setting some parameters for myself because I've learned that after drinking and observing myself and me reflecting on the outcomes, I've learned that I can drink 2 drinks and be as happy as when I would drink 4 or 5 drinks. So 2 drinks is my nice limit because I don't feel drowsy. I feel great the day after. I really still enjoy alcohol because it's a very social tool and it allows me to mingle with people. But I know for myself that 2 drinks is like a nice cutoff. And not only have I applied this 1 2 drink limit, I also force myself to be social whenever I drink. So whenever I get alcohol, I try to drink with people and not all by myself, because that was also a big issue in the past where I would buy a bottle of whiskey, keep it at home, and then like polish it off in a week or two. So by observing my drinking habits, I am then reflecting on those habits, how expensive they are, how easy it is to grab that whiskey bottle when you're at home all alone. And I am then influencing my future actions through those realizations that I don't want to have that in my life. So I force myself to drink socially with other people. And I also have that 2 drink rule where I try to cut myself off at 2 drinks. And if it's a special occasion or something, sure, I'll have another drink, no problem. But I try to keep it within that rule of 2 drinks and always be social when I'm drinking. I love unorthodox timers. And what does this even mean? Well, I noticed in the observation phase that whenever I went and I did my laundry, there would be this 2 hour window where I needed to put in the laundry and then come back for an hour and then put it into the dryer and then come back an hour later and then fold those clothes and bring it back up again. Now, in the reflection phase, I was reflecting on my productivity during the day. And sometimes I realized that whenever I did laundry, I would always be hyper productive during that segment of doing laundry. That I could cram in so much work in a day within those 2 hours was mind boggling to me. And how would you even influence your future self to take advantage of this reflection, this mini realization that we've had? Well, I create weird unorthodox timers around me. So whenever I am, let's say, boiling water in the morning for a cup of coffee or tea, I actually don't turn it all the way up to extremely hot. I kind of turn it to like 3 or 4 on a setting because then that timer of it going all the way up to boiling will become a unorthodox timer. And what I use that time for is to clean the place. I use it to rearrange things. I use it to do dishes, sweep, and so on. And it has become an extremely productive time for me to do things. So if you are eager to get into reflective journaling, well, I got 5 tips for you. The first one is to always start with a blank slate. I know there's a lot of gurus out there or people who journal a lot that say that you should be recording your daily affirmations or create a to-do list every single day or record your wake up time and sleep time. I would say remove all of that bloat and start with a blank slate, just a page where you can write anything you want. And this way, you're not beginning with a journal template that is extremely bloated, you're starting off from square one and you're slowly building it up as you are learning more about yourself and your needs with journaling. The second tip that I have is to try to find a journal method that really works for you. I tried audio recordings, I tried video, I tried writing things out, and I ended up landing on typing things out. And I like typing a lot because it allows me to document things digitally, and it also allows me to take my thoughts in my mind and quickly transfer it over to something else, like a Word document. And this is because I made sure to learn how to touch type to then type as quickly as my thoughts were forming. That is something that I learned pretty recently because I understood that the friction between my thoughts that I was having and me documenting them was way too slow with all of the other methods. The third tip that I would give you is to really be honest with yourself when you are journaling. If you are kind of like lying to yourself when you are observing, reflecting, and influencing, it really hampers the whole process and you aren't able to get as much growth as you wished because you're kind of like using fake or false information that you kind of made up for yourself to then influence your future self. Because some emotions might be really hard to face, but yet again, write it down as truthfully as possible and slowly go through it as many times as you need to then understand it and learn from it. The fourth tip that I have for you is to try to actually break up the reflective journaling process. So don't try to compress the observation, reflection, and influencing step all in one go. Instead, elongate it, let it breathe a bit, let it simmer in your mind. And that way you will come to a better conclusion, better reflection, better influencing down the road. You'll draw more connections because you'll have more journal entries that you'll be linking to, and you'll just get a better understanding by not rushing things. The fifth and final tip that I have for you is to make sure to not beat yourself up if you miss a journal entry or if you've let a lot of journal entries stack up to then reflect on it in like a month or two, or if you haven't influenced your future self to create better change. These things take time. These things need to simmer. And journaling is something that you don't just add to your life for a month or two. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you do consistently throughout your whole life to constantly evolve, improve, and grow as a person. And I am confident that once you have gotten a taste of the potential growth that you will be getting from journaling, it'll just become a natural thing that you do on a day-to-day basis, just like brushing teeth. I hope you've learned something about reflective journaling and how it can create massive growth in one's life. It has really changed me as a person and the way that I do things, and I am confident that anyone who just trusts the process and begins journaling will get the same type of benefits. Now, if you are a person that has already journaled for a long time, I actually want to hear from you. So in the comment section below, post your best journaling tip or trick for anyone that might be getting into journaling. Because as we all know, the hardest thing is to really take that first step. And in this case, it's your first word in your journal entry. Now, my name is Paul. Hope you've learned something, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.